Hi, today we're going to talk about the minor pentatonic scale. If you look under this video, you'll see a link to a PDF. Download that and all the scales and all the information that you need will be on there. So it's a good idea to print that off and have a look at that while we're doing this. So yeah, if you could do that, that'd be really good. Right, let's get stuck in. A minor pentatonic scale is, as the name suggests, a scale made up of 5 notes. We're going to be doing this in the key of F, so we're going to be starting here. I'm not going to be using open strings because I don't want to use open strings. Okay, you can use open strings, but for the purpose of this, I want to keep it so it's a movable scale up and down the neck. So this is the scale. It's okay, right. That's over 2 octaves. The first note is here. So the pattern goes 1, little finger, 4, then 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 4. Okay, and back down. Okay. Now how I'm doing that with my right hand, very important. There are 2 ways of doing this. First of all, alternate picking, so it's down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, and same thing going down. The other way you should also practice is with hammer-ons and pull-offs. So you're going hammer-on and pull-offs on the way down. So you should practice it both ways, okay? So there you go, that's the minor pentatonic. Any scale you learn on the guitar, you can learn in 5 different positions, so that basically you can play that scale anywhere on the neck. I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through each scale. What I'll do is I'll put each scale up here on the video and play through it. That's pattern 1 as we just played there. This is pattern 2. As I say, all these are in F. So there's your F root. Always start with the root note, and it's that's 1 4 1 3 1 3 1 3, then 3 1 3 1 3 1 4 1 4 1 3 1 1 3 1 4 1. Okay, and always end on the note you start on, or the root note. And then the next pattern, the third pattern. So you're starting on the F on the 8th fret with your 3rd finger, and then it sounds like this. Then the next pattern up. And the last pattern, which starts here on the bottom string, 13th fret with your 3rd finger. And if you want to learn those with the video, just pause the video on each scale and you can learn it that way. Okay, good. Otherwise, just download the PDF. They're all on there. Okay, so that gives you all the patterns that you need to play to learn the minor pentatonic. You really need to know those, have those really under your fingers. So you just got to graft at that and learn them so you don't have to look at the sheet and you can do it almost unthinkingly. Okay, these are movable scales. All those are in F. So we started there on the F root note. And they're movable. If I want to play it in A, I play it there. There's your A root, A root, A root. Okay, if I want to play it in G, play it there. Of course, if a prerequisite of being able to do that is you've got to know where all the names and notes are on the guitar. So the quickest way to learn to get around that is to learn all the names of the notes on the guitar. You should be very familiar with what notes are where on the neck. If you don't, well, you've got to get your head around that. That's just lazy. Just learn it, okay? Okay, that's basically your scale. Now we're going to talk about improvising. The general approach that I see people taking when they first learn the minor pentatonic is to basically learn the scale as we did there, get that under your fingers, and then just kind of doodle about with it. And then just basically come up with ideas and things that you like, and then when you come up with an idea you like, then remember that and then stick it in your solo whenever that comes around. And I find that approach quite a poor way of learning, really. That's a very weak approach to learning guitar. And it's going to take you much longer to come up with something good if you take that approach. The approach I'm going to teach you is a little bit more tricky. It involves a little bit more hard work, but I think it's definitely the approach you should take. And this is it. What is improvising? Well, improvising is basically this. It's coming up with a lick in your head, playing it on the guitar, and then that goes through an amp and goes out to the audience. And so you come up. What you're doing is you're translating an idea you've got in your head, and the audience is listening to that or reacting to it, or whatever. And the guitar really is just a tool. It's just a tool you're using to get your sound out there. Now, we've learnt the pattern on the guitar, but that doesn't necessarily mean you can improvise with it, because to improvise with it, you've got to have that pattern in your head. You've got to know what that minor pentatonic pattern sounds like. I always use a rule that goes something like this. If you can't sing it, you don't know it. Okay? If you can't sing it, you don't know it. So, what we're going to do now is teach you to sing a minor pentatonic scale. Okay? And this is what we're going to do. I'm going to start there. That's the root. Then we're going to play the next note, which is a minor third. Then the next note is the perfect fourth. Now, if you play all those three notes together, okay, that's the first three notes to Smoke on the Water. Everybody knows Smoke on the Water, I would assume. So you already know instinctively what the first three notes of a minor pentatonic scale sound like. Okay, let's add another note. Da. Do 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 do. Okay, that's almost natural. Do 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 do. Now play that, and as I do, sing it as well. Do 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 do. And become intimately acquainted with how this scale sounds. Okay, let's add another note. Let's add the minor seventh. Do 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 do. I'm sure this is a sound that if you've been listening to a lot of rock music that you're already kind of familiar with, yeah? Do 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 do. That time I added the root note on the top, so do 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 do, octave do 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 do. So sing that scale and get it in your brain so you're familiar with how the minor pentatonic sounds. Now let's take that from another approach. Let's look at all the intervals in a minor pentatonic scale. So root to minor third, that's just the first two notes of Smoke on the Water. So you already know that. Do, do. Now let's look at the interval between the root and the fourth. That's a perfect fourth, and that's the Wedding March. Do, 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 do. You know what that sounds like. Then we've got the perfect fifth. Do, do, do. Okay, that's Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, isn't it? Twinkle, twinkle. Okay, so you know that. Or Star Wars. Do, do, diddle, do, do. Excuse my singing. Then the minor seventh. There aren't many tunes that use the minor seventh in the first two notes. The one that I'm most familiar with, being a big Trekkie, is the first two notes of the original series of Star Trek. Do 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 do. Well, that's a bit rough, but do 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 do. Okay, does that make sense? Again, sorry for my singing. So become very familiar with all those intervals and the scale, and then once you've done that, start making up ideas in your head. And then try and repeat what you play, and sing and play at the same time. And as you do this, you'll become more and more acquainted with the sound of the minor pentatonic scale. And then once you're doing that, It's just a question as time goes by, developing your ideas, coming up with better ideas, doing things that are more interesting in a rhythmic sense, like do, ba-dee, boo, do-do-do-do, which has got more going on rhythmically, or big intervals. But coming up with, mixing all those ideas up and coming up with ideas of your own. And that's what you should be doing when you're improvising. So the ideas should be coming from here. What I see with a lot of guitarists is doing this kind of pattern-based playing, where you're doing this kind of thing. And that's kind of really old-fashioned. And to me, that's not really improvising. That's your fingers doing the talking. And if ever you find yourself doing that, you find yourself with your fingers doing the playing and it's not coming from there, you should really stop doing that. And concentrate. Whenever you're soloing, the idea should be coming from your head, not your fingers. If you find your fingers just flying about doing the playing, that's the wrong approach and you shouldn't be doing that. Though having said that, I have to say, most guitarists that I know, or, well, not that I know, that's not fair, but most guitarists that I see seem to take that approach, which I think is a very odd approach to playing, constructing solos from patterns, and that's a very odd way of playing, though it seems to be quite prevalent in heavy metal and things like that, which, yeah, I don't like that, but that's just my opinion, okay? Right then. A couple of other little things to show you. A minor pentatonic is this. If we can add one note, we end up with a blues scale. So again, here's root, minor third, perfect fourth. If we add this note, which is the flat 5, so we go, so we got a little chromatic around that. That note there is the blues scale. So we're just adding one note. There's the note there, and that gives us the blues scale. So, which sexes up the minor pentatonic no end. It's almost irresistible not to put that note in. Of course, just playing this, it's pretty bland. That doesn't sound very exciting. So as guitarists, we're very lucky that the kind of instruments we have is that the guitar is a very expressive kind of instrument, and we can do things like bending notes, which is very weird thing to do. But if you're a sax player and you can kind of bend notes, if you're a piano player, you might have a sort of a knobby thing that you can twerk to sort of do that. But with guitar, we can do this. Which helps us be much more expressive and relate better to the audience, which is much better than doing this. All that kind of nonsense, yeah? Makes sense? Good. One other thing I do, and I like to do this a lot, is I like to make use of the whole neck. So, what I do is like to slide from one scale to the next, like this. That's something that I like to do because it means I can make use of the whole neck, and rather than just being kind of stuck in one position. When you're starting out, you should go through each position and improvise in each position just so you get familiar with each position and each pattern, but approaching it from that head thing, not that pattern based thing, okay? And that will help your improvisation sort of no end. Okay, as I say, all the notes, download the PDF which is below this video. I hope that's been helpful to you. If it's not, well, watch the next video. Maybe that will be. Okay. See you next time. Tune in. Thank you. Bye.